Cornwall, Connecticut, a small New England town ringed by hills where farms and forests stretch to the horizon. But like almost every corner of America, Cornwall is also a town of arrivals, of people who came from somewhere else carrying stories that would change this place and be changed by it.
Henry Quesada left Ecuador at 19. He had the energy of youth and a destination he called El Sueño Americano, the American Dream. What he did not have was a visa.
Fue un viaje muy largo, de más o menos me tomó como 35 días. Fue una experiencia muy peligrosa, cara y sobre todo muy riesgosa. Y no soy el único que ha hecho eso. Conozco gente que no ha avanzado a llegar.
Celeste Barbosa's crossing was different. A plain, illegal visa, a father who arrived first to prepare the way, but coming to America at 18 is still leaving everything behind.
I wasn't really happy about moving here, especially because I was a teenager, so it was giving up on my friends and my studies at that time because I moved to a country that I had a different language that I didn't know how to speak English at the time.
Richard Schlesinger, a retired CBS News correspondent, grew up hearing a different kind of immigration story, his mother's.
My mother was born in Prague, in what was then Czechoslovakia, and left just ahead of the Nazis and fled to England and then to Toronto and then to Detroit and then to New York. She had 24 hours to pack, I think, either one or two suitcases. She had to decide what to bring with her. And she was a teenager at the time. And so can you imagine what that must have been like, trying to figure out what do I want to take, what do I leave behind forever?
Cornwall has always been a town of immigrants. The Irish laborers who built the railroad in the 1800s, the English families who arrived generations ago, and more recently, a wave of Latin Americans' arrival who came for work.
The immigrants that I've met here in Cornwall have been as hardworking and self-reliant as people that are here. So the people sort of move them, are able to get into participating in the town, doing things. So it's worked out well. In fact, for a while the town was actually declining in population, and since COVID there have been more people moving here, which has actually increased the school enrollment, has increased our amount of volunteers for the fire and ambulance. It's increased the amount of people that are able to provide work, services.
Henry's son, Stephen, has thrived. His daughter, Stephanie, barely remembers any other home.
Ahorita ya el próximo año se gradúa de la high school. Creo que va a ser el primero de nosotros que se va a ir a college. Eso estamos planeando. Y ahora Stephanie también, entonces ella está muy contenta. Ella no quiere saber de irse a otra escuela, quiere terminar aquí. Entonces, estamos muy bien.
Celeste too put down roots, marrying, having a daughter, becoming a U.S. citizen, but it wasn't straightforward because she had turned 18 just before her father's work visa paperwork was filed.
My whole family became legal and I didn't. So that was really tough for me. So it took me a few years to get my work in order. And then it took me another 3 years to get a green card. And then after that, I stayed with my green card for a while. And then when I had my first child, Claire, that's when I decided to become a USA citizen because I didn't want to risk for any reason because you can still be deported with a green card.
Every immigrant carries two places inside of them at once, the place they came from and the place they are.
La mejor tradición de Ecuador para mí es carnaval. Es casi 4 días de fiesta. Se juega con mucha agua, se juega con barro, con lo que encuentren, pero es muy divertido. Juegan niños, adultos, es para todos.
Celeste misses the warmth of Brazil, a country where you can make friends waiting in line at the bank.
Some people would say like, oh, the weather's hot today, and by the end of the like half an hour you're in line, people would like invite you to go have lunch on their house or come over to the barbecue on the weekend. So that's very, very common there, and you feel very welcoming.
And for Celeste's daughter, Claire, born here with dual American and Brazilian passports, belonging is a more complicated feeling.
Even though I'm in a class with like multiple people with families from other places, sometimes it does feel a little like off. It's like telling somebody like, oh, we eat rice and beans every single day for our dinner and we have it there with it. And it's like, oh, you do? So it's like it's different for other people. So it feels weird like being like, oh, what'd you have for dinner last night? Oh, I had tacos with rice and beans.
In 2025, the United States launched one of the largest immigration enforcement operations in its history, ICE sweeps, deportations, families separated.
Ahora en este momento, afortunadamente, no estoy pasando por familiares o alguien que haya sido arrestado. Todos andamos un poco medio nerviosos por lo que puede pasar, porque tengo mucha familia, tengo muchos amigos que todavía no tienen sus documentos necesarios, entonces perder a alguno de ellos va a ser doloroso.
There's a bunch of changes being made in how innocent citizens are getting like deportated to Mexico or something like that, and like they're being taken from families, schools, and it's, in my perspective, I don't really see how that's a right thing.
I would hope that the people in Washington, realize that this country has always been built by immigrants from all over the world, and that we get a sensible policy in place to let people who want to come here for the reasons I mentioned, that my family came here, whether it's for a job, for religious reasons, or because they just wanted to, they're having a hard time in the old country, that we work out some sensible policies to allow people to immigrate here and do the work that needs to be done here.
And so my first reaction was, does anybody really think that Donald Trump's going to care what people in Cornwall do? I thought that for a while, and then it occurred to me, this is part of, whether you agree with it or not, it's part of a much larger, quintessentially democratic exercise where people protest and express their disagreement with the government. It's what America's all about.
I'd say I'm an immigrant to Cornwall because I moved here when I was 5 years old to go to school here. And so Cornwall, throughout its history, has been a place of immigrants. There are some people whose families came here a long time ago and they never left, and so that's interesting. And there's some people that were born in different parts of the world that call this place home, which makes Cornwall an interesting place.
Lo que me encantaría para ella en un futuro es que siga sus sueños, que siga viviendo la vida que está viviendo, porque le encanta estar en esta área, en Cornwall. Me gustaría que se gradúe, que se vaya a la universidad. Eso es, para nosotros, para mí especialmente, es algo que no tiene opción.
I don't want to risk for any reason because you can still be deported with a green card. So because I had a kid here, that's when I decided to become I became a USA citizen in 2012.
If it's like a hard-working family or someone who came here to make better life or to have a fresh new start and get sent back, I think they should change that immediately. It shouldn't be right.
What kind of country do we want to become? To students who were not born when the last major immigration law was written, that may be the most American question of all.